What's cracking, everybody? How's everybody doing? So, an interesting article found me earlier today, and it comes to you from the San Francisco Chronicle, entitled, quote, Tech workers seeking an edge on peers turn to all-meat carnivore diet, unquote. Let's read a little bit, shall we? Oh, look at those soft, fragile hands. Perfect for coding, right? Anyway, let's read the article. As a meat-loving child, Ryan Parks cried on the way home from a video rental store when his parents said, as a joke, they were becoming vegetarian. It came as little surprise when Parks, now 31, told his folks he'd begun a carnivore diet back in July. His typical Whole Foods haul includes 6 pounds of ground beef or ribeye steak, cheese, and butter. U.S. diet, man, fuck the U.S. dietary guidelines. Tell me, Tell me where they got us, these US dietary guidelines, right? Right. Continuing. At first, I thought it was crazy, said Parks, who works in sales at San Francisco software company GitHub. That's everyone's reaction. There's no way you can eat that way and not die. Ah, the brainwashing. The first week of the carnivore diet was tough, especially on his digestive system. Fiber adds bulk to stew. Without it, bowel movements were not enjoyable, Parks said. Still, he felt lighter and more energized. He no longer required Diet Coke to fend off an undeniable urge to nap after lunch. The carnivore diet stuck. Now, as far as bowel movements go, why would you want to add bulk to your stew? Somebody explain that one to me. You really want bigger poops. Why? I'm not saying there's no adjustment period to the carnivore diet. It may be tweaking the protein to fat ratio for that perfect stew, but anytime you change your diet so drastically, something's gonna happen. Still, Ryan stuck with it. Continuing. A small number of people around Silicon Valley are eschewing dietary guidelines in favor of an all-meat diet, a practice they call carnivory. Now wait a minute. Hold up. I thought this was an alt-right diet. You got all these leftist nerds from San Francisco starting to eat nothing but meat. Something doesn't add up here. Continuing, similar to high-fat ketogenic diets used by epileptics and bodybuilders, it does not require calorie counting or intense exercise. These modern carnivores eat from the animal kingdom exclusively, which means no fruit, vegetables, grains, or sugar, just meat and fat. Okay, I'm gonna let that one go for now. Every carnivore I know of, except maybe for a couple, will eat outside of the animal kingdom, if only a little bit. Continuing. No formal studies exist on the health benefits or dangers of human carnivory, and a lot of questions remain unanswered. There aren't a lot of studies. There are some. Maybe one or two. Health professionals heavily criticize the diet. Why? No studies exist. Why would they do that? But in the absence of clinical research to support them, carnivores are sharing their experiences in Facebook groups and other online forums in an effort to crowdsource anecdotal evidence. Now, let me tell you something about anecdotal evidence. Epidemiology, which is what most of our dogma is based on these days, is really no different than anecdotal evidence. It really isn't. Oh, sorry, it's peer-reviewed. Like that means anything. Continuing. A Reddit group called Zero Carb, where carnivores post photos and questions about managing a carnivorous diet, grew its subscribers to 60,000, up 400% from a year ago. I thought the carnivore diet was dying. What's up, Goji man? One of the largest Facebook groups dedicated to the topic, World Carnivore Group, shot to 22,000 members since it was created in December. Park said he dropped about 25 pounds on the carnivore diet, though the assertion that an all-meat diet leads to weight loss is not supported by science. It's supported by citizen science, but I guess that doesn't figure into the analysis, right? Because we're too fucking dumb to know what we're doing or what we should be eating. Continuing. And the things that we notice aren't really the what's happening, right? It was all water weight. Continuing. When coworkers notice his weight loss, Park said, I tell him I bike. He said he doesn't worry about portion size. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Meh. Sounds like a perfect diet. After giving up plant-based foods, he also lost a romantic partner, a vegan, who Park suspects was put off by his diet. Good for you, man. Good for you, man. Tech workers in the Bay Area go to extreme lengths to get an edge on their peers. Some software engineers say a ketogenic diet increases stamina and mental clarity for coding. A handful of tech executives, including Twitter and Square CEO Jack Dorsey, don't eat for hours or days at a time, a routine called intermittent fasting. The benefits of these diets range from weight loss to more energy to enhanced productivity, which explain their popularity in the Silicon Valley workforce. So, carnivore or ketogenic diet in general seems to be a performance enhancing diet. And these San Francisco nerds are noticing the benefits and sticking to it. Interesting. Over the last year, Jeff Wu, a self-described biohacker and co-founder of HVMN, pronounced human, a startup selling human enhancement supplements, said he observed an offshoot of ketogenic dieters transition into carnivore, seeking the potential fringe benefits of going from low carb to no carb. I think it's part of the hacker ethos, Wu said. People are tinkering, figuring stuff out, and sharing stories. And I would add, no longer relying on the dietary food guidelines or these so-called authorities that really don't have any authority, unless you give it to them. Anyway, I'm not going to read any more of this. The author goes into, the environment and how, carnivore isn't environmentally friendly and all this other bullshit, pseudoscientific nonsense. It's interesting to me how, on the one hand, she'll say there's no scientific evidence supporting carnivore, even though there is very little, but there is some. And citizen science is at least as valid as epidemiological studies, if we're being open-minded here. Maybe even more valid, actually. But it's interesting how there's no science supporting it, but then later on in the article, I read the article previously, she'll go on to say how meat causes cancer and all this other stuff when there are no studies on people eating exclusively meat. Where are you getting this data from? There are no clinical trials that control for all variables and isolate eating meat that would substantiate this conclusion. And yet she makes it, right? On the one hand, there are no studies supporting the carnivore diet, but even though there are no studies saying that there's something wrong with it, there's something wrong with it. Anyway, everybody got their agenda. This is San Francisco, right? So it is what it is. But still, I thought it was an interesting article. And, even the leftist nerds are catching on to it, even though it's this stigmatized alt-right diet, right? Something they should be completely against, seeing as veganism is so popular in Bay Area. Used to live out there. Great place in some ways, terrible in others. Anyway, leftist Silicon Valley nerds are catching on to carnivore, even though it's been stigmatized as this alt-right diet and something so terrible, right? What does that tell you? Well, there's only one conclusion, right? The shit works. Thanks for watching, guys.